Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful, high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed a platform for CPA firms, financial advisors, and other professional service firms to deepen existing relationships, attract new clients, add advisory revenue, and impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. If you'd like to learn more, visit quaidcircle.com. I am so excited to get to hang out with Sarah Krom. She's the managing partner of SKC Company out of Boonton, New Jersey. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. I'm excited to be here hanging out with you.
I've had this on my calendar circled for a long time. This is going to be a blast.
Well, we had to suffer through tax season first.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's why I waited. That's why I'm excited now, because now you're going to be more friendly. You'd have been mean if we'd done it before.
Just not at my best.
All right. That's fine. Hey, do me a favor. Would you kind of share your background? Like, how did you get into the CPA world and what led into that, even growing up?
Yeah, sure. I started really getting interested in the accounting industry when I was in college. And for me, I knew coming out, I wanted to be in business. And my mom is a teacher and my dad is on, the engineering science side of things. So for me, I didn't find interest in any one of those areas. So I knew I wanted business. I knew I wanted something that was foundational, meaning I would be able to utilize it across multiple different businesses. I didn't necessarily have the thought that a lot of entrepreneurs and our clients at SKC have about, I know I want to own a business, but I don't know what that is yet. I just knew I wanted to be the foundation in the business world. And so the first college that I went to, I started as a international business major until they told me that I had to basically become fluent in another language in order to graduate with that degree. And then I said, no, thank you. So I switched ultimately after I met with my counselor at college to accounting because again, it was the foundational piece of all businesses and you could translate that across industries. So I stuck with that. And then probably my second or third year, I had this one really amazing professor and she just, sold the whole industry to me and really convinced me that the track that I wanted to be on was partner track. And from there, it just kept going forward. I took the CPA exam and started my ascent, if you will.
Yeah. And so talk about that your first roll out of college in a firm, I assume.
Yes. So I had an interesting internship when I was in college. I interned for Caesars down in Atlantic City in the accounting gaming department. So basically we reconcile and do all the accounting for any of the casino games on the floor, from slot machines to markers to tables and all of that. That was an education.
I bet.
We could have a whole other podcast about that. But for me, what it taught me was I didn't want to be in private accounting. I didn't enjoy the routine of the same thing every day. And then this has to get reconciled by this time. And then this report goes to this person by this time. Like, to me, it was very monotonous and not what I wanted to commit the rest of my career to. So then I was able to intern at a public accounting firm and I really loved the diversity behind that. So I interned there for a tax season, a summer, and then ultimately got a full-time position with them right out of school. And I was actually on sort of the A&A audit and accounting side. I did a little bit of tax work, but I mostly did the audit and the, reviewed financials and things like that. The thing that got me in the audit world was every time I presented our clients or the board or whomever or the final deliverable for the audit was going to, we never got to help them, right? We gave them this list of management comments of all the things that, we found that was not being done correctly, but then we had to go away and come back next year hoping that they would fix it. I wanted to be the one that helped them fix the things that we pointed out that were wrong. And so that's how I made my transition over to SKC, where our whole motto is helping business owners be the best version of themselves.
Yeah. So talk about that transition. Were you a founding member of SKC and you created it from scratch, or talk about that?
I was not. So we have been around for 44 years. There was a whole founding generation of partners who had this mentality of wanting to help clients and business owners support them in their ventures and really be that infrastructure for them, whether it be bookkeeping work, reconciliation work, tax projection. What we really did when the next generation of partners came on board was focus on that consulting and that strategy piece, which is
Mhm.
that sort of level up of, as we call it, our differentiator of what makes us more um, involved in our clients' relationships. We work with the business owners throughout the calendar year. We make sure that we understand what their goals are and that we're helping them achieve those milestones towards their goals. Obviously, we talk about the numbers, we talk about key metrics and hitting what their numeric targets are in alignment with whatever their goals are for the business. And then there's tax planning and tax projections around that. But really it all boils down to what can we do, Mr. or Mrs. Business owner, to really support you so that you can do what is within the best use of your time, whether that's going out and finding new clients and customers, whether that's being, the best quality control person in your company, whatever that might be. We want to be able to take all of the sort of back office burden and high level financial strategy off their plates.
Yeah, I love that. What did that look like from that transition from the previous leading partners into your new group? At that point of, was it a hard flip? Was it like a lot of work? Did you have to convince a bunch of people? What did that look like?
So we had some of the consulting and the strategy side that was very important to a few of the partners that we had in the founding generation. It just wasn't systemic throughout the whole firm. And
Mhm.
so what we really did when we sort of became the second generation of the partnership class is we really refined who our ideal client was. So we honed in on only working with entrepreneur business owners. So we had to say goodbye to some of our tax return only clients and which was a challenge
Mhm.
because some of them were legacy clients that had been around for 30 years with the firm. We insisted that anybody that come on board with us as a new business owner client be willing to meet with us at a minimum quarterly. So that weeded out people who didn't necessarily want that high level of touch. So we really, it was, I would say, let's see, I made partner in 2015 at the firm, and it was probably a good 5 to 7 year transition before we honed in on the ideal client. We standardized our service offerings. We, properly value priced what our packages were. And, we parted ways with the clients that didn't fit that model anymore. And it was a labor of love. It wasn't a
Yeah.
battle. It was just stepping through each process systematically. And the 5 to 7 years sounds crazy when I say it talking to you, but that was
Right.
probably a good ballpark of what it actually took to kind of come full circle with that focus.
Yeah, I love that. So, like, when you go out to hire now, and you've been doing this for, the last, whatever, 7 or 8 or 9 years in its current format. When you go out to hire, that seems like it would be attractive to CPAs coming out of school, or CPAs that are in a larger firm that don't get that hands-on or touch and that type of stuff. That seems like it would be a really attractive piece, right?
There's a lot of people in our industry that want to have client contact and they want to make a difference. And, especially in the recent, I'll say 2 or 3 years when AI and technology have become so influential in sort of the data entry and the basic sort of 1 to 3 year person used to do that kind of work is now replaced with technology and AI. There's a craving for wanting to be more valuable to the client and wanting to be more impactful. And so we're seeing a lot of interest in people that love that model. The challenge is training people for
Mhm.
that, right? Because when we come out of school with accounting degrees, we don't necessarily have, a master's in business acumen. I mean, we've developed it through years of running SKC as our own, as our own firm,
Yeah.
and working with entrepreneur business owners and helping them run their companies for, the last several decades. But to hire somebody from the outside, out of a traditional CPA firm structure, they don't have that background knowledge.
Yeah, that's an interesting transition. And then, the other piece of the AI component is now, like you said, it can do a lot of the work that the typical entry level CPAs, accountants can do. So it's almost like, okay, there are memes out there that say, yeah, I just applied for this job and it's entry level, but they're expecting 15 years of experience, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
how is that evolution going to happen for CPAs? And you and I've talked before offline of, I was an accounting major. I came out, I worked in public accounting right out of school. I hated it. But I'm sure it was just because I'm not as bright as you are, and of why. But no, and I agree with you 1,000% that the accounting major is the best one that you could ever have because of the foundation that presents. But
Yeah.
again, with the evolution of AI, there's going to be a challenge to enter kids coming out of school. I say kids coming out of school with an accounting degree, right, and getting into public accounting.
Yeah, for us, it's really about leveling them up. So, as I said, they used to come in at entry level and spend, doing payroll, doing reconciliations, doing data entry, understanding the general ledger. Now we need to bring them in up here. And
Uh-huh.
how do we as business owners close that gap? Because academia is not really doing it for what we need it to do, certainly the speed that we need it to do it by. So for us, it's a lot of shadowing. It's a lot of, let me take you to this meeting. Why don't you sit in on this call and conversation? We do a lot of case study training. So we'll have our key managers or our partners present real client situations that they've, navigated through, whether it's transitioning and succession planning to the next generation, certain types of sales and transactions, whatever the consulting that we tend to see the most of is, we try to do trainings that way. But a lot of it is really giving people the opportunities to experience what our clients go through, again, in that shadowing environment with a manager or a partner, so that they can learn through that observation and through sharing that experience, because you really can't learn that type of quick consulting through, textbook learning. It's a real challenge.
See, if I were to come out and work for you in that environment, I'd still be in public accounting.
See, Mark, it was just timing.
That's it. It is. Timing's everything.
Yep.
Well, look, one of the things that has brought us together is your passion for serving that client, and especially that entrepreneurial client, and you looking beyond and serving more than just numbers and that type of stuff. And one of the things that why we're working together is, you are going to begin offering CEO peer groups within your client base. Talk about how that came about for you, what you're hoping to get out of it. What do you want your clients to walk away from there?
Yeah, so we really think that our differentiator at SKC is our relationships with our clients and how deeply embedded they become. And that translates into how much value do we provide for them, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still, transactional in nature. And so one of the ways that we plan to add value and continue to add value is through the development of the Quaid circles as the CEO groups, peer groups, to offer them to our client base, in order to have this, I call it the personal board of directors that can act as their sounding board through very structured um, meetings and activities that connect everybody in that group together even stronger, and again support the mission that we have, which is to make business owners the best version of themselves. So for us, it's something that you don't see very often with other CPA firms offering this to their clients. But we've done things like this in the past in not so formal of a way. We've had mastermind groups come together. We've done large group networking groups, large group networking meetings where we bring all a group of our clients together because we think that, one may have something that can benefit the other, or it would just be a good mutual introduction. So this is bringing in these Quaid circles are really leveling up what we've done historically and really putting that system and that process around it. So I'm really excited because we're focusing on a couple of different genres, if you will, within the groups. There's going to be one that's kind of in the trades space. So I think, electricians, contractors, plumbers, who again are really good at their technical craft, but may not have the wherewithal or certainly the background of running a business. So a support group, if you will, within the circle for that. And we're going to be kind of doing a few other offshoots of different genres. And we're really actually excited about how our clients are going to respond. And we know they're going to get so much out of it.
Yeah, it's powerful. I think, in addition to learning how to run the business, there's also just that support of being with like situated people who now you can say something out loud and somebody's going to go, "Oh, you're going through that too?" Like
Hmm.
I thought it was just me, and the realization that they're not alone it's unbelievable and almost freeing, right? I mean, as you know, being the managing partner at SKC, like it's lonely at the
Yeah.
top, right? And it's
We've talked. Sometimes it feels like you're on an island.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it just obviously I'm biased, but it is one of the most incredible things that I've ever done in my professional life is to lead these circles and see people just have these epiphanies of, oh my gosh, I had no idea everybody else was dealing with that. And you mean I've got a space where I can talk about anything that's going on in my life, and
Mhm.
people are going to support me. People are going to be independent enough to go, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life. And
Right.
I go, oh, well, nobody else would tell me that. And, it's such a cool deal. So I am super pumped for you. I do believe it's a differentiator. And it continues to feel like an SKC investment. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and you use the term like situated. I've heard you say that before. And I love that mentality because I'm a big proponent. I called it the personal board of directors earlier, but I'm a big proponent of you tend to migrate towards or become the people that you spend most of your time with. And so this is going to be a very curated group of individuals that you're going to want to and benefit from spending your time with. And I think that that is kind of a really beautiful thing in today's world.
Yeah, I stopped using the phrase like-minded a long time ago because to me that's no fun, right? I
Right.
like I'm a contrarian anyway, so I just it's just fun, right? Conversations are better and deeper and way more interesting if you're not all just aligned and singing from the same hymnal all the time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sarah, this has been amazing. All right, one last question.
Okay.
Think back to 21-year-old Sarah. What's one thing that you wish she knew that you've learned over the years?
Wow, I have to pick one. Okay. Um, don't rush it. I think when I was, well, I shouldn't say I think. I know when I was younger, I was a little bit high strung and I was a little bit of a firecracker. And I think I felt that I could get things through to people with a little bit more brute force than the diplomacy that I have now learned in my wise decades as a leader. The diplomacy and the empathy and the communication is really what gets things done and keeps things moving. And not just being passionate about it isn't enough.
That's cool. I like that. All right, last thing. Talk about AKC, SKC real quick, and like who you talked about entrepreneurs, but
Yep.
are there industry segments that you specialize in? Like who is your ideal client, and how can and then wrap it up with how can people get a hold of you too?
Sure. So our ideal client usually is around 10 million in revenue. We do have clients who are far below that. We do have clients that are a lot higher than that. But what we typically look for are the entrepreneur business owners who are growth oriented, who are passionate about what they do and want to get better at it and aren't afraid to ask for help in order to do that. We don't have focused niches. We have naturally developed niches over time. My partner, Caitlin, has a very significant niche in the medical healthcare arena, mostly because doctors are evidently only friends with other doctors and they talk about their accounting. And so she's naturally built this referral source within the medical community and healthcare in general. But we service clients in any industry across the board. It's just about the mindset of that business owner and wanting to be growth minded and better tomorrow than they were today.
I love it. And how
And
can
I guess
people
the
get a hold of
best
you?
way to
Yep.
get hold of me, my email. So it's skrom at skcandco.com. And our website is skcandco.com if you want to check us out there as well.
I love it. Sarah, this has been a blast. Thanks for hanging out.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks for having me.
All right, y'all, we've done it again. We found another amazing leader to share her insights and wisdom with you on your way to the CEO seat. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed a platform for CPA firms, financial advisors, and other professional services firms to deepen existing relationships, attract new clients, add advisory revenue, and impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.